Call the meeting to order, fourth meeting of December. December 2022, 2023 session. Please rise to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're about to go call.
Mr. Ashapinski. Mr. Weitzer. Ms. Bernal. Mr. Casa.
Present. Oh, aye. Oh, aye for me too. I forgot. Yeah, I was waiting for myself.
Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett.
Aye.
Ms. Corretto.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose.
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. McEmery.
Aye.
Ms. Zanecki. Okay. Mr. Blue. Mr. Tooley.
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Mr. Slager.
Aye.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
Aye.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pottinger.
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Owens.
Aye.
Ms. Bright. Mr. Emmett.
Aye.
Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
And Mr. Getzel.
Aye.
We have a motion to approve roll call for per diem and mileage. Mr. Casa, second by Ms. Corretto. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Have a motion to dispense with the minutes for January 12th, 2023 meeting. Passive, second by Mr. Traeger. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Have a motion to approve the ARP bills. Mr. Passive, second by Ms. Finley Smith. Roll call, please.
Ms. Bernal. Mr. Casa.
Aye.
Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger. Ms. Beckett.
Aye.
Ms. Corretto.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose.
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. McEmery.
Aye.
Ms. Zanecki. Mr. Blue. Mr. Tooley.
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Mr. Slager.
Aye.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
Abstain, I wasn't here to see him.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pottinger.
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Owens.
Aye.
Ms. Bright. Mr. Emmett. Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa.
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinski.
Aye.
Mr. Weitzer. All ayes.
All ayes, motion carried. Citizen comment. Mr. Gatsa.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to address the board from the podium. What we're going to discuss today, I don't know if this is the time to ask you or not. First of all, I appreciate your time. This won't take long, I promise. It'll be 5 or 6 minutes, hopefully. I'm going to address a few things from the YouTube videos that are recorded and made public for all to see. Hopefully, every time we record a video, we are proud of how we behaved, interact, and are proud of the decisions we make. Why? Because they are viewed by many, some of which asked me to speak today. Today, we're going to talk about the ARPA funds. It's a once-in-a-lifetime gift horse, $21 million. Sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's a smidgen of the $5.7 trillion that was given to us by the federal government, our own money they gave back. I would like to remind everyone this is not our money to spend, though. It's LaSalle County taxpayers. There's no such thing as free money, and we all know that. We are already paying taxes on this money. $15 million was given away prior to my joining the board, and $1 million was awarded to a single entity this month while I was on the board, which, I didn't vote for. I was told this entity was vetted through finance and was already approved. We just didn't have the funds to give. I went back and watched as the application was presented, and I only heard about the operating expense. There were many hypothetical examples given of what could happen as far as future loss and everything else, but the tough questions about actual revenue, the 24% increase over a 2-year period in projected operating loss, and management's actions in controlling the business were missing. It was an 18-minute conversation, and now they have to produce some tax returns or documents, and that's it. $1 million. Think about that. I'm here on behalf of some disgruntled LaSalle County residents who asked me to speak on their behalf. They gave me some homework and a challenge, so I took them up on it. They asked me to watch a certain YouTube video at a certain time. They said they were extremely disappointed in how the past board spent several $1 million on the residents' behalf. They reminded me that every county board member represents 4,000 residents. And those residents are counting on us to keep taxes low, county services at a high level, keep them safe, and create a county where people want to live a lifetime in. The YouTube video they asked me to watch was recorded on 9/30/22. It was about 3 hours and 19 minutes long. Here are some things that were mentioned to me. This video has been viewed over 130 times already. I was informed that several projects actually received more money than they asked for. I was asked, have you ever bought a $50,000 car and gave the dealership $75,000 because you liked them? They said you would never do that with your money, so please don't let the board do it with ours. They're coming to me because I'm new, and they saw that I started asking questions. And I'm only asking questions because I am green and I have no answers, and I'm looking for answers. They said you really need to watch the video and inform me of some of the direct quotes to look for at about 3 hours and 15 minutes into the video. So I watched the video and did see what they stated about a project receiving more funds than asked for. Then I saw number 58, St. Michael Archangel. They asked for $50,000, and the board kept raising the amount they were allocating, stating, give them more because, quote unquote here, they wanted to get to heaven. This project ended up getting $124,304.61, or almost $75,000 more on a $50,000 request. This infuriated the folks I was speaking to. They also heard one board member say, quote, is this just political? Unquote. They said it looks like these board members are just taking care of their own friends and not selecting projects that are taking care of the majority of the residents. This has to stop. They asked me, as a new board member, to bring this forward before the remaining money is spent. They are still watching us on YouTube and remind me of this as I promised them that I would bring this forward and follow through with their request. They appeared honest and sincere, and quite honestly, even told me, we did not vote for you. We're on the other side. By the way, I reviewed the ARPA sheet, and there were actually 7 projects for a total of $619,551 that they asked for, and they actually received $804,305. That is $184,704, or 30% more money than originally requested. Why? As I come to a close, I'm asking everyone in this room to please keep an open mind. After reviewing hours of video and the ARPA spreadsheet, I'm asking for everyone here to please consider all the internal projects first. I do not mean without scrutiny. We need to look at those and scrutinize them. I'm asking to look at whatever is going to cost the taxpayers a year or two down the road. If we can look at that, if we know there are special capital projects where we need, first of all, there's some county projects on the books already. But if we know there's something a year or two down the road, can we get them to put an application in, vet it through finance? From what I hear, application process still open, they're still rolling in. We probably need to put a close to that eventually as well. What I'm asking is to look for whatever's going to cost taxpayers a year or two down the road. If we know there are capital projects where we need to be ADA compliant, or something must be replaced over the next 2 years, such as equipment, windows, vehicles, whatever it is, let's use this money to do so. If we can avoid raising taxes or even create a tax reduction by utilizing the remaining $5.3 million, then by all means, let's do it. Let's act as if we were spending this money in our own households, not someone else's money. I would like to leave you with some suggestions so we can all work together productively, because it does not matter if we are Republican or Democrat, from Streeter or Dimmock. We are here for all county residents. That's our common goal. I reviewed the county board rules looking for what our mission was as a county board and found nothing. And what I did is I went through what the last revision that we had, and I did not see anything on there. If I missed it, I apologize, but I could not find it. And I'd like to leave you with some thoughts of what this committee and county could be as we move forward. I think we need a mission somewhere along the line, and it could be something like provide excellent services and leadership to the benefit of all who live, learn, work, and play in LaSalle County. We could have some values like building partnerships and working collaboratively with others to meet shared objectives, building strong business relationships and delivering successful solutions to help businesses thrive, instills trust by gaining the confidence and trust of others through respect, honesty, integrity, and authenticity. And we value differences, recognizing the value that different perspectives and cultures bring to an organization and a county. With that, I think we could set a goal of accountable government. That's what we're after here. Committed to providing open government that is transparent and accessible to the public, and consistently delivering responsive, efficient, and inclusive and equitable quality services to the public and internal customers while providing a safe community to live, work, and visit. So what I'm asking for is, please don't view me as your opposition. Please view me as a voice of reason, and let's work together is what I'm asking. Let's do the right thing for the residents. That's what we're here for. With that, I'm going to ask you to take a moment as I head back to my seat. And what I'm looking for is someone to make a motion that we table the external applications at this point, and that we review all the internals, and then review our capital expense budget over the next year or two to see if there's anything that we can work off at. That's all I have, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gatsa.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to table the external applications until all internal applications are reviewed.
I'll second that. We have a second. Second by Mr. Aubrey. Roll call vote, please.
Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Castle.
Usually and normally, procedures dictated that we have an agenda item for a particular motion. So would our state's attorney be able to give us the recommendation as to whether this is in line or not?
Yeah, a motion to table would not normally be on the agenda, but a motion to table can be made.
Can be made.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Dose.
So we've already reviewed the internal applications. Some people that are new to the board have not, because this process has gone on for a long time now. it seems to be dragging through multiple different county boards. My question, I just heard talk about partnerships, and that's what this is. And a lot of the internal applications, they can be brought back up at another time. I don't believe there's that many internal applications that we did not approve.
There's still some left.
Some,
How-
like
what-
which ones after
maybe-
August 19th, I thought was the cutoff, but which ones prior to that did we not take action on? The only one I'm aware of is the board. Top of my head.
There was a few others, maybe half a dozen, that was down the list that
So what,
was going to bring them up
Which-
after this.
We have Sharon in the room. Are we able to ask her?
which one, Sharon?
It's coming up, as soon as it appears. It's thinking.
When it comes up.
Yeah. Okay, so, let's see. This will be the first one, a highway water project for $1,600,000. Circuit clerk lost revenue for $254,000. Land use permit software.
That one's already taken care of, I think, in their budget.
Oh, okay, what's in here? ROE transport van. IT fiber to nursing home. Oh, ROE public
Yeah,
health.
that was in the process.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
ROE scholarship.
So that was all the internal?
Parks and facility, no, all the way down, parks. And then all these. It'd be parks, nursing home, which was tabled, tourism, electric sign, tourism, brand logo, IT, no, that's awarded.
Treasurer's office.
Treasurer's
Security.
security, coroner, PPE, EMA and app, highway, the Leonore shed, county parks, and circuit clerk software infrastructure and cloud hosting. And I did total those, and that's $5,600,000 as they stand right now.
So
I've,
What's your guess?
I've got a question. We heard the coroner, and I have not walked into his office, so I don't know if that's true or not. But he said he's got an office that's not even ADA compliant. He's talking to people out in the hallway. He said if people are eating here, there's a leg laying on the counter over there. He's dealing with drugs. He's dealing with different things. Those are the kind of things. Is he going to have an office a year down the road? If we know those kind of things, this is what I'm asking. Can that money go toward those type of things if he puts an application and it's vetted through finance? I mean, it's going to cost the taxpayers down the road. So why not save that?
What's your dog's good?
yeah, if we could go to the beginning,
Yeah.
most of these have already been voted on, so I wish somebody would have talked to me about this. Highway water project. That was to run, water from, was it Ottawa?
Yeah. They played out to the highway
They
department.
played to the highway department, so, and I don't think that was recommended. The circuit clerk we voted on, I don't believe we voted that down in open session. Am I correct here?
Am I supposed to be putting these in the red now, or?
Well, we did vote it down, right?
Probably not when I was here, because I didn't come until, the internals were all done, I didn't come until you guys started externals. So if you did, I'm not aware. So do you want me to, am I supposed to be reading these or not?
I've got the minutes, I can go through it while we're. The land use permit software, I think that was already done.
Budgeted.
No,
That was budgeted.
that one's in the budget.
So the ROE transport van, that was declined from the county board, by the full board. Then the IT fiber to nursing home. I don't know,
Bridge.
yeah, we discussed, didn't we vote to table that? So keep going down now. That was because of that, we couldn't use the bridge, correct?
Correct.
other one? Is there another one in here we didn't do already?
Public health response, I already know that one is.
Well, that's not on there. That's really now the scholarship one. That was combined, yeah.
That can go away.
The park, new well and community garden, that was actually rolled into a different one.
Correct.
So that was taken care of.
Big,
Scroll down.
pavilion that was proposed for $1 million that we beat it, brought price down. That's why it's listed again in the bottom.
So the Casa House, we voted that down.
Yeah.
The health department, building security, I believe you're gonna ask the health department to do that, right?
That's in the
The process.
Yeah.
So we have the tourism, is that in front of us today?
Yeah.
All right. And we have the treasurer, right? That was not, what have we done with that?
Yeah, corner, PPE and
So the coroner didn't even put in for an office.
Yeah, he's in the.
no, it should be up there. I think it was.
Oh, no, that was
it
the one. That's
3.4
what the
The
million.
original request was for a brand new building.
It's in the red up there.
It was,
It's in the run.
it was condensed down to, I think, 2.4 million.
So, I mean, so you want to table this meeting for $80,000 and the $7,000 for the coroner. So that to me is like, I guess,
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question on I was here for the meeting for the nursing home. And there was quite a discussion on monies, approximately $1 million that needed to go back to the general funds. That was bundled into that. I mean, that's a pretty good chunk.
Well, they put in for, what was it, a little over $1 million for lost revenue and equipment.
that was
table.
that was tabled, and the reason why that was.
Wait a minute, one at a time. One at a time, please. Mr. Dogs?
So the nursing home routine was about it for a little bit, maybe like 10 years or so. And the discussion was whether that money should go right to the county that has been subsidizing the nursing home, or does it go to, irregardless, they do need nursing home beds. And that was the one, yeah, but we could have supplemented that. And that would be something that would be nice to be brought up to the table. And it's being charged finance, whether it goes to us or the nursing home, that just means they're not gonna take as much money from us this year. Okay, so it's basically, you're just giving it to the county. And at that time, they decided, probably the board decided just to table it for further discussion.
But so my take on it though is, are we looking at $5 million left, or are we looking at $3.5 million left?
So what do you got down at the bottom of there?
Okay, but the numbers I have down here are the numbers that if you award everything today the way it is in the ordinance and not change anything, we're gonna have 2,000,001 left.
That's the ones that are in the yellow that she.
Yeah, the yellow ones are the ones we're,
These on here
well,
for
we're
today,
gonna talk about.
but that's only at the.
So, yeah,
that
so
level.
if you, and I gave them the way, from the finances recommendation, what they recommended, that's what I put in the yellow. And if you award them that way, then you're gonna have 2,000,001 left.
Mr. Gatz.
Two comments. First of all, the nursing home is probably another whole conversation, because out of the 214-page budget that we were sent, the nursing home was part of that, showing a loss of $415,000, and that's after a tax levy of almost 1.7 million. And then that looks honestly like it should be a private entity and not a public entity. So that's probably a whole nother conversation, because there's there's problems there, it looks like. The other thing is, where I was going today was to look at capital expenditures the next year or two and basically sweep it to see, is there money that's gonna cost the taxpayers? You know, is there projects out there that we know are coming that are gonna cost the taxpayers after we spend their $5.3 million? Should we be looking at the capital expense projects? Because sooner or later, somebody's gotta pay for those.
Mr. Torre.
We have a capital needs assessment that was created. We can spend the $21 million on that whole book. Do we want to spend it on the county or do we want to help the public? Less taxes in the future, or there's the eminent need for the money today? We have to make a decision. We move forward to stop with the capital needs assessment and start working with the public. That's how it got to where we're at today.
Ms. Beckett.
I just like to clarify something. So if you are taking all the external applications off the vote today, and based on your presentation, and by the way, I think you know I agreed with you on the other situation at the last board meeting about the $1 million award. However, I can't speak to the other external organizations that are on the thing today, but I can certainly talk about the Starbuck Country Community Foundation. And all I will say about that is that that organization only exists to put money back into the community. It's not an organization that relies on taxpayer dollars on any funding from any state, federal, government, county organizations. And it's given $1.7 million back to the South County in the forms of grants. And so that particular organization is not a drain, at all on the economy of the South County. In fact, most nonprofits exist to lessen the burden on local government so that the county is not, paying the whole bill for the food pantries, for the shelters, for all of that, because community foundations all over the country that's their purpose, is to get money back into the community. So I just want to say that I cannot speak to, the county fair or the work Habitat for Humanity or any of these other organizations are doing. I only have the information to address the fact that the Starbuck Country Community Foundation takes all the money in and puts it back out to the.
Very well taken, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Traeger.
Yeah, we've been dealing with this for 2 years. And the purpose of this law was not to lower taxes. The purpose of the law, four main purposes, were to address the issues from COVID, like harm to households, harm to small businesses, which we've done very little, by the way. If you look at other counties, they have a list of 8,500 small businesses they've helped, besides in progress. And impacted industries, and one that we've rarely talked about, one of the big ones in the law, was to provide premium pay for the eligible workers, the ones who had to deal with all the risks from COVID. We've never given them anything. The state has come in and given them some of the money. And invest in water and sewer and broadband structure. That was the purpose of the law, to help those people and those entities recover from the effects of the pandemic. And I agree with Mr. Gatz on one point. There's several on these that I won't vote on today because they're taxing districts. They can already tax and make up for any of their losses or anything they want to build or anything they want to do. The people that we should be concerned about, in my mind, are those people who were hurt by the pandemic, need funds to recover and rebuild. And the other part of that is to provide resources and facilities so that if it happens again, we'll be able to much better deal with it. So the purpose of this law was not to lower taxes, and it specifically calls that out in the law. So if that's what you want to do, that's all well and good, but that's not the purpose of this law. The purpose of this law was to help the general public recover what the effects of the pandemic. Thank you.
Mr. Gadsden.
I go back and say again, when you watch the YouTube videos, we were giving above and beyond what was asked for. I'm not sure why. We gave $1 million to one entity just recently, which could have been, if our concern is really a robust economy and getting multiple businesses going, that should be spread over multiple businesses. So I agree with you in some respect, but the way it's being looked at and addressed is different, I'm sure, from the original intention of helping multiple people. Why we're helping one Catholic church, not multiples, or why we're helping one, organization over another. The way we're deciding it is questionable. That's all I'm saying is, please, going forward, let's look at how we're doing all this.
I'd like to say something, I think it's more a balanced approach. If you take a look at water, sewer, and broadband, who does that? Public entities, for the most part.
And we have given money to those public entities for, and they're ours.
I'm sorry, there's still some out there that have water and sewer projects that, as far as I'm concerned, they need help in their communities to do that. It's not internal here, but, and you take a look at the concept of lost revenue. If you read when it first came out, it was for public entities. It was not for private. It was for possible lost revenue, so that government entities could maintain services to the communities. Yes, Mr. Cassidy, that's what it was. That's what it started out as. Was for public entities. Yes.
Did the Treasury Department specifically state those for lost revenue? Or was that something that we ourselves have considered as to gifting?
No,
I believe Mr. Traeger's comment on COVID-related expenses, because of the impact and causes, we have added that lost revenue as an excuse or a reason
no,
to distribute funds.
no, on the contrary, that is part and parcel of that Treasury rule. Lost revenue was to maintain services of government entities in those COVID circumstances.
Thank you.
For mitigation, whatever the case may be.
But in our case, we didn't have a loss of revenue with the company level.
No, that's true.
Correct.
The first year that our auditor and I got together trying to figure out how to do that calculation, and basically all we could come up with was $377,000. And so basically, at the final rule, that's when we came out with that $10 million maximum for standard allowance. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Doge?
Has anybody reached out to Street Unlimited, called them, and asked them what their needs are?
We've
I
talked
think
to
they
them.
presented that, didn't they?
Have you called them?
They presented it, and I was told it was all vetted already.
Yeah, it was. So I called again after that meeting because I wanted to verify. And I have 60 employees I know of. And they're trying to retain these people as best they can with sign-on bonuses, increased pay to keep their services going. They also had money lost during the pandemic, and it's all been audited. So they produced all the information. They have a gravel parking lot. They have windows that do not open. I would suggest that before we vilify anybody or anything, we reach out and we contact people. We're small neighborhood communities, still a county. We find out exactly what they needed. So we also gave $1 million to Lighted Way. So they had already been in the process of working and purchasing a building. So I think the county's tried to do its best to try to help some of the agencies we already semi-support through a levy, the best of our abilities. So I would just say that they are also watching probably right now at this minute cringing, thinking, oh my God, there's some type of gotcha game going on. So let's not let that be the case. Let's let this be a good thing. And if we turn out after a conversation, or maybe possibly even a meeting, that there's something that maybe we've overlooked or they've overlooked, we can change something. I'll ask. And then as for this tabling, this is over two things. This is over $80,000 and $8,000, correct? And the nursing home. So the nursing,
was on the table for.
that's the only things internally we have not discussed. That's what you want to do. You want to table this meeting to discuss those two projects. We'll have money after this meeting to do that.
Unless there's other projects out there.
Questions, comments?
I just wanted to respond. Vilify was a strong word. I'm not trying to vilify anyone. I was watching the live or the recorded YouTube video, watching the conversation, hearing the hypotheticals, not hearing any real facts. And yes, now there's documentation that was brought forward. So again, it's already been voted on. It's over. So I'm just pointing out the fact that we did in fact give $1 million to one entity.
Anything else?
For you want there?
This vote here is for the tabling of these externals here.
Mr. Savage,
Nay.
Mr. Torres,
Nay.
Mr. Brown,
Nay.
Mr. Traeger,
No.
Ms. Beckett,
No.
Ms. Corretto,
Nay.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Dose,
Nay.
Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. McEmery,
Aye.
Ms. Zanecki, Mr. Blue, yeah. Mr. Tully,
No.
Mr. Roach,
No.
Mr. Slager, Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally, no. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Nay.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens,
Nay.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Nay.
Mr. Gatsa,
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
No.
Mr. Weecheck, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Casa.
Nay.
Yes. 15 nays, 6 ayes, motion denied. Moving on, we have number 2, the HVAC for circuit breaker. This here is a project for the circuit breaker school over in Peru. This is because the school is older, so to speak. This is for replacement of their heating and air conditioning system in the school. They have a boiler system currently, well, we just say it's old. Took a look at it, and it's old. And the school currently does not have any air conditioning, so that somewhat limits their services in the summer. But the rest of you have information you have in your packet. Have a motion to, well, I'll take that back. One more second. Getting part of the fourth floor. What we will do is read the first part of the ordinance for this one here. And if I'm not mistaken, it will be the same for subsequent ordinances. And subsequent readings will be for the name of the project in and of itself. Did I?
Did you want to say, we made a change to the ordinance? Somebody want to talk on that or
Let's see.
on number 3?
Oh, I think that's in the subrecipient group. I think.
Right, but I mean, I changed it with all of them. So, you know, what we had talked about. Somebody want to talk about that first before they
Let's see.
know what they're approving?
Page 9 here.
The change is gonna be on the orders.
Oh, I put on the subrecipient agreement. Okay, so, then I maybe don't want to approve it that way.
Yeah,
Oh, we can amend that.
put on both, it'd be fine.
Oh, it was, okay, I just didn't know. We're having, can I explain why we, the system, because I guess they have to approve the change anyway, correct? To see if it can go that way, if they have to amend it.
Basically, if you take a look on page 2, the subrecipient agreement. Page 2. We have a situation going on where some of our allocated funds are not being signed for on a timely basis. So what we did is we added the a date there of May 31st, 2023, by which the subrecipients would have to sign for their allocation. Is there any objection to that? It's great.
I don't have any objections, but if we're not done with all these by May, you know what I'm saying? If we've got some that they're not gonna get the word until June, let's say.
No, that's just on these here.
And
Not-
That's just on the ones today.
Just
Okay.
these
Okay.
here today.
All right.
Yeah,
that date will vary depending on the recipient.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No, the other ones that we've signed, I mean, basically that's our contract already.
Oh.
This was here just to
For these.
hopefully speed things along. Go on.
All right, whereas the American Rescue Plan Act provides for state and local fiscal recovery funds, a definition which includes LaSalle County, Illinois. And whereas the United States Treasury Department was tasked with administration of the American Rescue Plan Act, and in July 2021 issued instructions, criteria, and limitations for the use of funds provided by the American Rescue Plan Act, compiled titled U.S. Treasury Interim Final Rule and Guidance for State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. Henceforth, U.S. Treasury Interim Final Rule, and whereas in January 2022, the U.S. Treasury Final Rule and Guidance for State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. Henceforth, U.S. Treasury Interim Final Report. Whereas LaSalle County utilizes an outside consultant for advice on the expenditure of ARPA fund, and that consultant, Bellwether, has opined that the use of ARPA funds for the listed project properly qualifies as a legitimate use of ARPA funds under the U.S. Treasury rules and guidelines set out above. And whereas LaSalle County elected the standard allowance method of calculating lost revenue as allowed by the U.S. Treasury Final Rule, thus enabling LaSalle County to use available ARPA state and local fiscal recovery funds for a broad range of government services, programs, and projects outside of typical eligible uses of recovery funds under the Final Rule, and in accordance with cited restrictions defined in the U.S. Treasury Final Rule. Now, therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such description as follows. 1, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $1,650,000 shall be made available to Circuit Breaker School Lease Cooperative School for the disbursement of hot water boiler with system piping, upsizing the existing electrical service, classroom unit ventilators, modification of existing wall openings and casework, lateral architectural finishes replaced, residential style condensers. A particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
We have a motion to approve said ordinance by Mr. Savage. Second. By Mr. Casa.
Just so everyone's clear, paragraph 3 in the subrecipient agreement will be put down in paragraph 3 in the ordinance as well.
Questions, comments?
I thought we
I had
had,
to ask.
I thought we had amended this request, at one of our other meetings. But
To what?
to lower. But maybe we didn't, but I want to ask Mr. DeVore, how many school districts just use the,
All 26 in LaSalle County utilize that program, and then there are, a couple other outside districts, but the bulk is LaSalle County. And Kathy Fox is the director of that program. Both my program for the Safe School, the Regional Safe School, and Circuit Breaker are housed. So we're looking at almost 150 kids throughout LaSalle County. And the idea of, looking at save dollars for districts, there are no special funds that come from this federal that are paying for this. So the alternative is the districts would be billed for the cost that has to occur. Many of you have toured that building. Kathy watches that to make sure the thing is working, especially this cold weather, the furnace. So it certainly is something that everybody benefits. Kathy can speak up.
well, and that's my point. If we got 26 school districts, have we reached out to them to try to get them to contribute to this?
The idea when ARPA funds first became available was how can we help all districts with these dollars rather than individual grants? And this truly helps every district because trying to keep students local is the biggest benefit. Then the programming that's available there, it's amazing. And then these kids come and reside back in those communities where you're from. So how do we help them get where they need to be contributing rather than, something that's going to be a burden on your residents?
But as far as how I would obtain dollars to do those improvements on the buildings, I would have to assess each school district. It wouldn't be like, okay, you're gonna, how much do you want to contribute? So we take our fall enrollment counts and there's a percentage and each school district gets assessed that percentage of what this project would cost. I mean, right now we have, like you heard, our boiler is a 1927. And we have significant issues with it. And like Chris said, I watch it on my cell phone at night when it's cold to see if the steam comes out. And if it doesn't, we have to go to the building and drain the boiler because it overflows or it leaks. So our upkeep on this boiler is significant through the winter months. And I've had this conversation with other people. Air conditioning is a really nice thing. And we would like to have air conditioning because our student needs, mainly for mental health, which COVID has significantly increased our population because of mental health issues. Sending them back to their communities for the summer and not giving them the services in the summer that they need is very impactful. We would like to have them be able to come to the building and for us to continue services in the summer. But we can't right now because we don't have air conditioning. But overall, if we don't have a heating system, we won't have a school. So that would be 150 kids that aren't attending school. I don't know exactly where we would go because I don't know how much longer this heating system can be repaired.
And I understand all that, and I'm all for, the program and everything else. All I'm saying is, should the districts be asked to pitch in?
I agree. If there was a portion of that, I would be perfectly happy. I've been working with other people who have given me lower numbers than the 1.65. The current one I have is 1.55. I also am actively looking for grant money to support the project. And I have another vendor who's also actively looking for grant money for me to support the project, whether it's energy efficiency grants through providers or government energy efficiency grants.
So what would it do to you if we said we'll fund this at 75% of this request?
It'd be awesome.
That
The
would be,
districts, I think, would appreciate, and you truly would be doing a lot of good through all the taxpayers and helping kids out, so we have a great program.
And the district would have to, hopefully, and
yes.
grants and everything else would have to come up with the rest.
they would be thrilled that they were not, I mean, because they're gonna be using state and local funds to do that.
Torres.
With that being said, would you be able to complete the project and fund it over 75%?
I believe I could, yes,
It's important because.
yes.
The-
Yes, that's a very valid question, and at 75%, I believe that I could. I cannot say that for certain without my board approval, but,
Today's the day.
But the districts are gonna have to pay it one way or the other. And so it's gonna be assessed. And that's truly where your contribution to assist would help districts be able to make up that across the region. Certainly they would support that and we could get that done.
We're safe to say we can complete the project.
Yes.
Ms. Corretto?
Yes, I had a question. Who pays for any of the improvements to the building that right now?
yeah, currently, like, if I have a project, it is, like, it's the 27 school districts pay us to run the program. The only outside money that we get is Medicaid money for services by professionals. We have some rental money. We have, from the interest from our bank account, and we have evidence-based funding from the state, which is only $9,000 per employee. We have, and a grant for our lunch and breakfast program. And then I have a hearing and vision grant, which helps pay for one of my hearing and vision technicians.
The best part is the county really, its residents own that building. There's no one entity. It's owned by all school. It's the residents of the South County own
Why,
it.
if something goes wrong with the building, say the water pipes break, the roof starts leaking,
It's
you would have to have the schools who utilize your service contribute, correct?
Exactly. And the building is fantastic shape minus this issue. That's really been redone prior to, before, Parkside was, that move allowed this opportunity for our program, and a lot of work happened before we did, minus the boiler system.
And all the schools involved are in LaSalle County, correct?
Except for one.
Which we could work to certainly
Well,
have a
that's what I was
contribution.
wondering.
Yes.
That county probably got funds also, so did they apply for some money from their county that they're in?
I think that the school district would be the entity that would work to help with that contribution rather than the county. The county dollars are expended already, is my understanding.
Yes.
Caesar, what portion of the request is just for the boiler?
It is the entire, so what was explained to me is the entire system. So it is currently a steam boiler. It's going to be replaced with hot water that also has a converter for cold water. The cold water then comes from the boiler to the classrooms, and there's condensers at the classroom level for the air conditioning. So the boiler is both, heating and air. But the boiler, just the physical boiler, the cost, the line item for that, I know is $260,000. However, it won't work unless the whole building gets repiped.
And the idea of getting fresh air in classrooms to prevent
we don't have
spread
that.
of disease moving forward is really the hope here. It's a full system
And
that's going to make it healthier for everyone.
Your electric system obviously won't support the new
As part of that.
boiler.
It's part of that, yeah.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah.
Mr. Briggs. I move to amend the amount of the award to $1,200,000.
Second that.
Second on that, Casa. Roll call, please. On the amendment.
So that was triggered.
Okay, second.
Discussion.
Mr. Casa.
In the spirit of conforming and listening to Mr. Gotts earlier as being responsible with all of our taxpayer money, I hope this compromise shows you that we are willing to work along those goals, not only saving the school district's money, as opposed to not having to fund the entire project, but using ARPA money, COVID-related money through the treasury, which is part of our liability, being employees of the government, I guess, would say paying tax. Thank you for your kind words earlier today.
Please don't take that as a personal attack. Watch the YouTube
It
videos
isn't.
yourself.
I just complimented you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe it was the tone.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Casa,
Aye.
Mr. Savage,
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto,
No.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Dose.
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Mr. Blue, Mr. Tooley,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally. Aye. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger. Aye. Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens,
Aye.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa,
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
Aye.
Mr. Weiser, and Ms. Brunel. One nay.
20 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carried. Call on awarding the 1.2 million to
One more question.
Supervisor.
Chris, can you explain to us who owns the building?
Residents, it's owned by the lease cooperative, which is the school districts, and so the districts throughout. So there's no personal entity, it's the taxpayer, it's a community building that offsets huge cost if we were to transport these students outside of our region and serve them. And it's a huge asset, and the numbers unfortunately continue to grow, not only where I serve the at-risk students, but then students with special needs that Kathy serves. It's a great service. Thank you.
A motion to approve the amended ordinance to 1.2 million for allocation for the HVAC for the circuit school. Mr. Tooley, second.
We made a motion.
Have to do,
So the men, you made
oh,
the
that's
motion.
amendment, right? Okay.
We do need a vote on, we need a vote on the
Now
amended
we need
motion.
to vote to give it to them, right?
No.
Because this was a vote to give it.
Yes.
So we don't need
Next one we have.
No.
We need a vote. Vote on it. Vote on it. You don't need a motion, you need a vote.
No, okay,
to let this.
yes.
Okay.
My mistake.
That's okay. Okay, how about Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger?
Aye.
Ms. Beckett?
Aye.
Ms. Corretto?
No.
Mr. Walsh? Mr. Dose?
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Sinecki? Mr. Blue? Mr. Tooley?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Mr. Slager?
Aye.
Ms. Bush? Ms. McNally? Aye. Mr. Small? Ms. Pottinger? Aye. Ms. Finley Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Bright?
Aye.
Mr. Emmett? Mr. Stockley?
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa?
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Weitzak? Ms. Brunel? Mr. Cassup?
Aye.
Mr. Savage?
Aye.
And Mr. Torres?
Aye.
Any ayes, 1 nay, motion carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, next one's township, Walton Township. That project there was for purchase of school properties, pure purchase of school property, broadband and green space. For 200,000.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. The LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $200,000 shall be made available to Township of Waltham for the disbursement of purchase and modifications of abandoned Waltham School, secure property, broadband infrastructure, improvements to green space use. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
And a motion to approve said ordinance. Dockley, second. By Ms. Beckett.
Again, paragraph 3 of the subrecipient agreement will be added to the ordinance. Number 3 or
If you're. If you take a look at that, we're looking at earlier. The request was for 150,000 for purchase and modification of abandoned Walton School, instead demolished and.
Yes. Yes.
I thought.
So good to see you.
So 150,000 would not be needed for that
No,
part of the proposal.
no, it was
Exactly.
it was demolished, and so the land would be purchased as part of the agreement. And so the 150,000 would go to the land purchase, which is about five acres.
150.
So that.
So I would say,
150,000 was for the property there.
I would say the property, yes.
Well, the secure property, is that for fencing? That's what I assumed was the purchase price on it, but yeah, that was not. Right?
So you're saying that they're going to pay $150,000 for 5 acres of bare land? Is that what you're saying?
It has grass.
Am I right in that?
That's what it's saying, yes.
Has anybody looked at fair market value
Mhm.
for 5 acres?
I'm going to make a point here that I mentioned before in other meetings. We have 2 points here. The appropriateness of the project proposal and the amount. As what was just happened in the HVAC for the circuit breaker school. You can always amend the ordinance.
So I suppose look at long-term cost of this creating.
Yes, thank you. So that's, I'm assuming, well, I was taking a look at it as being school, but you were saying it's 150,000 for the 5 acres now, because that's already done and so on. Mr. Stock.
So in early 2022, Mr. Bill Stack, who was the supervisor, I went to a Waltham Township Board of Supervisors meeting. He questioned me if they should go forward with this proposal. I went ahead and I encouraged him to do that. That was while the school was still standing. And since then, the school has been demolished. And so I would definitely lower that 150,000 if this went forward. But the remainder of it was for securing the property, broadband infrastructure of $30,000 and improvements of green space. They wanted to make this into a park-like area. This area does adjoin the Waltham Township owned parcel, so it's right next to it, connected to it.
So we need to table this, to find out what the actual cost of the property is.
Is this a comment section? Can I make a comment? As a taxpayer of Waltham District, I think this needs to not just be tabled, or it needs to be tabled permanently, because this is a postage stamp piece of ground that is in the middle of nowhere. Unfortunately, the population base of Waltham Township has moved to Utica and around the Oak Ridge golf course. And to turn this into green space would be a complete waste of money and maintenance over a yearly basis. The only thing that might be legit is the broadband, but in the meeting, when Mr. Stack was discussing it, he had no idea how that's going to be done. So I think it needs to be permanently.
Was there a motion on the floor?
For the ordinance, yes.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suggest we vote it down. You might not, and it's gone. And if they want to bring it back in the future at some, ask you some specified amount, they can do that.
Yeah, something more specific than this, considering it's allocated. Any other questions, comments?
A no vote will consist of voting down the request, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Traeger,
No.
Ms. Beckett,
No.
Ms. Corretto,
No.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Doze,
Nick,
Mr. Aubrey,
Nay.
Mr. McEmery,
No.
Ms. Sinecki, Mr. Blue, Mr. Tully,
No.
Mr. Roach,
No.
Mr. Slager,
no.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally, no. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger, nay. Ms. Finley Smith,
Nay.
Ms. Owens,
Nay.
Ms. Bright,
Yeah.
Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Aye.
Mr. Getza,
Nay.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
No.
Mr. Wietzek, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Cassup,
Nay.
Mr. Savage,
Nay.
Mr. Torres,
Nay.
Mr. Brown.
No.
One,
Somebody, one aye, motion denied. Next, we have, 19, LaSalle County Tourism. You have,
the ordinance reads the same. Now for the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. 1, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into the ordinance. 2, LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $250,000 shall be made available to Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitors Bureau for the disbursement of county promotion, IoT marketing partnership, and CPG marketing partnership. A more popular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
a motion to approve said ordinance. Yes. Second by Mr. Rowe.
Again, paragraph 3 of the sub-recipient agreement would be number 3 in the ordinance.
Questions, comments? Mr. Castle.
In respect to responsible I checked the tourism budget. Currently, they have cash reserves of $150,000. So I would like to amend the request from $250,000 to $150,000, hoping that I receive a second from the floor.
Second? Is that a second, Mr. Prager?
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Lethal weapon.
Right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote on the amended ordinance from 250,000 to 150,000.
So, boy,
Vote on the amendment.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto. Aye. Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose.
Nay.
Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. McEmery.
Aye.
Sinecki. Mr. Blue. Mr. Tully.
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Mr. Slager.
Aye.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
Aye.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pettinger.
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Owens.
Aye.
Ms. Bright. Mr. Emmett. Mr. Stockley.
Nay.
Mr. Gatsa.
Aye.
Mr. Ashafinsky.
Aye.
Mr. Wietzek. Ms. Brunel. Mr. Cassup.
Aye.
Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
No. Nay.
He's second. Four.
4 nays, 17 ayes. Carried. Now, vote on them. This is a vote on allocating the $150,000 as amended to the tourism county promotion. Yep, question. Yes, sir.
I guess I'm just trying to understand this a little better. They are, we've used them for how long? In the past?
Over 10 years.
And they've given good results, and how we measure that is the question.
It's basically funded currently by Pillow Tax.
Is that still available? Then where are these extra funds going if they're funded that way already?
To their marketing program for LaSalle County.
How have they done it before without that?
Basically by the budget from the tourism committee from Pillow Tax.
So I guess my question is, what's changing that they need this money and they didn't have it before? Are we getting something different or more for it, or why the change? If they did it before.
Mr. Castle.
To answer that question, during COVID, the room rents were considerably less than they were pre-COVID. So there was an impact of loss of revenue. That's the request, not a request to replace revenue, but it just made common sense because it's tourism and people were not being able to get out during the COVID-related 2-year period. This was a request for supplemental income to continue their marketing program.
Increase their marketing.
Yes, increase the marketing program. Is that
Yeah.
logical and sensible?
Questions? Please.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose. Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. McEmery.
Aye.
Ms. Zanecki. Mr. Blue. Mr. Tully.
Aye.
Mr. Roach. Mr. Slager.
Aye.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
Aye.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pottinger.
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens,
Hi.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa,
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky.
Aye.
Mr. Weeksek, Ms. Pennell, Mr. Casa.
Aye, please.
Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
My mind was into the next request.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried. Next, we have packet number 24, St. Genevieve Riverboat.
How's our total going, Chair?
Oh, can I also say, I'm sorry, the finance committee didn't have, or I didn't get the recommendation, so I'm going to put the 25,000 there. It was what they asked for. That is what you guys do with it, but, this, if you look at your sheet here, there wasn't a recommendation from, so I put that number there, just so everybody's clear. Of course, it can always be amended or whatever. We are at now 2,000,009,
Oh, that,
or two,
That will be
that can't be.
yeah, we
No,
were at
there's-
2,1.
There's some in the, yellow or orange up there, those numbers are still in there, but they're not.
It's not taken away yet?
They're
Well,
not-
no, I've changed it. It was 2,000,001 and now it's 2,000,009.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Because I've been changing these as you've been going here.
So,
This was 250, you just gave it 150. You took that one away. Yeah. You did that one at 1,000,000 too. So, yeah. You're at 2,000,009 now. You started at 2,000,001. Now, where am I?
okay.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly report such distribution as follows. 1, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into the ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $25,000 shall be made available to St. Genevieve Riverboat LLC for the disbursement of electrical service cable connections from shore. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
You have a motion to approve said ordinance, yeah, as well as paragraph 3. When the subrecipient agreement will be added to the third paragraph on the ordinance. Motion to approve by Mr. Stockley, second by Mr. Plow. Particulars of this here, as you can see, is for electrical service. They also state in their paperwork that they were not in business during COVID. Any questions or comments? Ms. Becker?
I think we might be at a disadvantage because we don't have any more information about this. So my understanding is that where they dock by the river rescue station, they're trying to build that up in beautiful area there where people come to visit the boat. And they're actually gonna have barbecue grills and an area for people to wait. And if people don't want to sail, it's still gonna improve that area of the river rescue station where they usually dock all summer. Now they happen to be docked here in Charbon for this evening. But when I'm thinking where it says connections from shore, that's really that they want to have a nice landing area. And I think that's what this is for. If I'm wrong, somebody should correct me, but I think it's from those improvements. Because they actually are leasing that property, I believe. So I don't know if anybody else knows more about that.
Good. You have a question, Mr.?
Yeah, you said they weren't operational during COVID.
If I remember the application,
Zero.
Was it because of COVID they weren't operating? Is that?
No, they were just, starting renovation of the boat and, I don't remember. I don't remember the date on it. It doesn't have it here. It was put in. Yeah, in April of last year. Like, yeah.
So if it was really not COVID related, because they weren't even operational.
Mr. Hickson made a motion based upon tourism.
Okay.
When this first came up.
Yeah, which makes sense.
But does it say in there that it has, it's to fix the property nearby, or does it say it's on the boat, or doesn't it say?
No, it was just.
I don't want to get the wrong impression.
For the, let me see here,
It talks about shore power.
electrical service capable for
Okay.
connection from shore. Somebody knows more about it than I do. That's what's in the application. Mr.
I'm assuming it'd be for personal property expense for the boat. Providing the landline to the hookup. It's not to encourage or put in the service structure for the boat, is it?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I wish they clarified that.
And to add to that, now, if you know pre-COVID, wouldn't you think if you're going to create a new business, you would understand the impact of going through and taking a business risk? So with that said, I'd be voting no on this request.
I don't think they've even purchased the boat during COVID. My knowledge, the boat was purchased more recently, Luann knows as well
Yeah.
too. That
We
boat,
were not in operation.
and they didn't become operational for about 60 to 90 days because they had issues with the boat, bringing it up here, up the river. And they were actually in St. Genevieve, Missouri, dry docked for 30 some days. And that's why it's the name of the boat is St. Genevieve. So, they weren't in business. And I don't know that, it was really more getting the boat here. And the boat had to be completely renovated before they could open. So they did have somewhat of a delayed opening, and I'm sure they probably need these other items. I just can't say exactly what those items are for, but you commented on, they put in there they need shore connection. Is that what you're saying?
That's what's in the request. And if I could just say something, I'm familiar with both of these families, and they put a lot of time and effort into this, and it is a pretty neat item here that I think will really have an impact on tourism for the area.
Not necessarily the county, but you're saying Ottawa, correct?
They're gonna operate between Utica and Marseilles
So, okay,
on the river.
okay. Thank you.
They're actually a venue, even though it's winter time. They are still open. They are a venue now for entertaining. We just went to a wedding there December 15th. They're another venue that is kind of sorely lacking, particularly in the Ottawa area. But people cruise the river, which is so gorgeous, all the way down to Buffalo Rock and beyond, or they can go north or east or whatever that is on the river. Geographically challenged, I suppose. But as Steve Aubrey mentioned, it is quite an addition to the community. And I can attest to what they need to apply, but it is a great opportunity for people to see the river from the river. A lot of individuals never see the river from the riverside. They just drive along, so.
Question?
What does the sales tax get allotted to? What town? Any revenue they collect, sales tax?
Mr. Dodd?
One after that. I would imagine they have city tax and state tax and county tax on it.
So the county does gain from it.
Is it use of funds, total funds specifically? That's my question.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Motion. Okay. This will be a vote on awarding 25,000. That's your pleasure to St. Genevieve Riverboat LLC. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Ms. Sinecki, Mr. Blue, Mr. Tully,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
No.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally,
No. Sorry.
Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Nay.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Nay.
Ms. Owens,
Nay.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Nay.
Mr. Gatsa,
Nay.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
Okay.
Mr. Weedsek, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Casa,
Nay.
Mr. Savage,
Nay.
Mr. Torres,
Nay.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger,
Nay.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto,
Nay.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Jones.
Nay.
Five ayes, 16 nays, motion denied. 15, 6 ayes, 16. Mr. Trader,
Is it a comment on that?
What do you have to say?
Maybe
This is about the
Quiet,
next.
quiet.
they could come back to the venue of tourism and request money from tourism. Possibly to help this, and maybe that would be a little bit more. No, there's something. Oh. Sorry. Carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Trader. Next, we have Bonneville Fire Department. Number 38.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. 1, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $170,500 shall be made available to the City of Ottawa Fire Department for the disbursement of fire station alerting system and pit testing machine. A more particular description is in the ARP funding application.
We have a motion to approve said ordinance. Right? Mr. Torres. Yeah, paragraph 3 off of subrecipient agreement will also be included in the paragraph 3 ordinance. Question? Mr. Craig.
Well, I'm sure as everybody knows, this is my community. I stated many times, I'm not in favor of funding departments or tax bodies with our money. All we're doing is replacing responsibility of the city of Ottawa. My money. The city of Ottawa got $2.2 million in our funds. Where's their contribution to this? I don't know if they reached out to them, maybe they haven't, but maybe they haven't reached out to their own city, to my city, to get that money from the city portion of the ARP funds. So I just don't think it's justified. It's great stuff. You know, I'm not denying they need it or anything else, but I just don't think it's proper for us to be funding the city of Ottawa, which is basically what we're doing. Some of the rest.
Yeah. Any other comments? Questions? Mr. Porter?
Can someone give me a brief description of what this thing is?
Well, on the application itself, it's for $160,000 for a fire station alerting system. And I'm assuming that will improve the response of, the response time of first responders in any type of emergency situation. 10,500 for a fit testing machine. Correct.
This is all referencing that golden hour of response time. They don't just serve, they serve the incorporated area around, unincorporated around. This is more than just sorry, I'll be going to figure.
Where do they serve around,
Anytime that ambulance goes up, they're not just serving in the out. And I know they go to Star Rock.
but you're going to,
Only,
well, and mutual aid agreements, I know that. Their primary function is to serve the
primary
citizens of Ottawa.
city of Ottawa, correct?
Kelly?
I have two things. First of all, why does it say $100,000? Did we,
That was, no, I went, that was not the finance recommendation, that was another recommendation that I just.
okay, I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
no, the finance recommendation was 170,500.
Secondly, I agree with Doug, but I disagree in the fact that these fire departments, police departments, I have saw where they have wanted things for their department and have gone to their cities and wanted to get things from their city, and the city will not give them the money to do so. So therefore, I think that's why they have come here asking for things that are above and beyond what their city government is going to supply them. So I'll be voting yes.
Any questions, comments?
I would just still like to understand better exactly what they're asking for, because just saying, you know, it's gonna help their response time, it doesn't make me feel good about that. What is a fire station alerting system? What does it do? Does anybody know?
I do not have the professional expertise on that one.
Do we want to ask Brian to explain?
Sure.
You just explain what it is. I'm next.
It's a nice march right now.
So you doesn't want to have a method.
I can tell if we need it first in that second.
You didn't guys want to see it.
Right. We did.
Hold on. Sorry. It's okay for me to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question is, what, an explanation for the fire station alerting system that they're requesting $160,000.
Okay, the question was the intercom system. I am not voting on this, I'm just providing information. So an intercom system, in your house, it might be an Alexa, it might be something very, very simple, okay? Might be cell phones, calling somebody in the other part of the house. You can't do that in emergency response. Emergency response for multiple stations. If you have two stations, they both intercom systems open up at the same time. It's a secure system so that each station can hear the same thing in real time, and they can talk back in real time. And in a urban/rural area, it's very important with a limited amount of resources. Does that make sense? Does that help answer it? It's a secure governmental line. It's when you add government to anything, you add the price increases, right? It has to be like triple redundant, meet all the special requirements for 911. Does that help? No.
Okay, what happens now without this system? How does it work?
Well, they have one now.
So then what, I still don't understand. Why are they asking for one if they already have one?
They have one. It's I think it was originally with the stations. I think they use they use a T1 line, I think now, to communicate, which is it's a very secure cable system between public safety stations. I don't know exactly what T1 means, but it means if there's an acronym to everything in government, and that's part of an acronym.
So what is the benefit of upgrading?
I don't know that I haven't read this. I didn't take part in this, so that's a big question. So I would imagine modernization. So,
Ms. Gretel?
Yeah, on the application, they're referring to Lakesell County Complex and Madison Street in the nursing home. Is that where their concern lies? That they need to upgrade the system?
I tried to not take part in this. I don't know what that says. I didn't read it. So I'm sorry. If you read it to me, I could help, but I didn't.
Well, the Lakesell County Complex, they're listing that, and, they are protected by the Iowa Fire Department paramedics. So is it more something for the paramedics than it is for the?
Well, we're both. There's 20, I think there's 20 paramedics.
Okay, and where is the one located right now? In the police station or the fire station?
Yeah, it's a combined police station. It's in the 911 center. It's integrated with the 911 center, and then the cabling is run through the stations. And this might be this might be a brand new upgrade that meets new specifications, but I'm not.
They just upgraded 911 last year, right?
Well,
They went to that enhanced system, and that's what we got them.
well, which I'm not sure. There's PSAPs. There's
Everything got rerouted to one place, so if you go all over the county.
there's multiple PSAPs within a county. PSAPs are public safety answering points, is what the acronym for that means. I believe there's still 7. I think Streeter still holds their PSAP money. I believe LaSalle and Peru might.
Because our power to the county goes somewhere else, so it goes to a different town and it comes back to our town.
Right. I know there's 3 standing dispatch centers, but I believe there are still 7 technical PSAP areas. So it's, again, kind of a technical thing.
Not to be indifferent, but I'm a person that across the room here. We've gained new board members. I'm beginning to know their personalities, and I think their lives are precious. And I would not like to see them compromised if I didn't vote for something that would improve the quality of response from our first responders and our local paid fire department. But at the same time, I'm not getting answers that qualify, that's going to provide a better service. This is my issue. I'm looking at maybe tabling the request, asking for some more specific response and use and utilization of the system as to how it's going to help with the COVID related requests that we talked about earlier today to support life-saving measures in the fire department.
Are you making a motion to table?
I'll do that. Motion to table.
And second, Ms. Bright. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Specify the intent of the,
Get more information from,
From who?
the president.
From-
Explanation that.
from them.
Okay. You write that down. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to table until further information is available. Okay, Mr. Court.
Pat, do we need a return date on this?
They'll return it, it'll come up in the next meeting.
Sure. And the specialist, we want to make sure to see it.
That's the Robert's Rule of Order.
Good, no, it's not. It'll come up next meeting.
You can table it to a date certain, or you can table it till it's been built, if there's no date certain.
I would like to take third.
Well, and you need to ask for dates certain.
Say the next
board meeting. You want the next board meeting? That's next week.
Next ARP meeting,
We have to have another one.
next week, we have.
We have a full board meeting next week.
We have a response. People that have a response that time.
I don't know.
You could table again if you didn't.
There you go. There you go.
What was that, Mr. Chairman?
Table again if you didn't have the information.
All right, so we do the next full board meeting,
If you want to do February 9th, you could do that.
so I amend the amendment.
No.
With that,
No, just put a very nice date on.
all right, thank you.
Okay, next we have, packet number 39, Star Rock Country Foundation.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. 1, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $59,500 shall be made available to Star Rock Country Community Foundation for the disbursement of full-time staff salaries and benefits, 18 months accounting, marketing, and consulting contracts, communications, copier, utilities, insurance, and miscellaneous marketing, advertising, and related collateral. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
A motion to approve said ordinance. Robbery, second. Mr. McKenna. Paragraph 3 of the sub-recipient agreement will be included in paragraph 3 of the ordinance. Any questions?
Yes.
Brown.
Who reduced it to the 59.9 from the 193.5? And I think we discussed this earlier in the meeting. Isn't this an organization that gives back most of its funding to the community?
Yes, it was vetted by the finance committee. And let me get through the application here. What was applied for was $135,000 for full-time staff salaries and benefits for 18 months, $24,000 for accounting, marketing, and consulting contractors, $27,000 for communications, copier, utilities, insurance, and miscellaneous, and $7,500 for marketing, advertising, and related collateral. And my calculation, basically, it looks like they've excluded the $135,000 for salaries and benefits.
And this organization is, it don't get any tax money. It's all 501.
501c3.
Ms. McNally?
I received a phone call today that asked why it was reduced, and they would be more than happy to take the reduced amount, but they would like to see the full amount.
Anyone else?
I would like to see it taken to back to the original request. Here you've got an organization that collected all of its funds from the private sector, nothing from the governments in the area. And in turn, it turned around and like $1.7 million comes back within the county of LaSalle. I think there's very few organizations that can say that they operate. I know if you take a look at the percentage of money that comes back to the community from, say, YMCA's, Red Cross, other organizations, it's nowhere near the percentage that they're giving back.
Yes.
Adding to that, what Mr. Aubrey said, it looks like they provide financial support of both leadership and training to local charitable organizations who support education, healthcare, childcare, the arts, the environment, tourism, veterans, the hungry, the homeless, economic development, conservation, education of LaSalle County, and a big contributor to the entire. Go along with that.
I just want to reiterate, there was an article, I think, in the paper, was it last night? And it was the application for the scholarships they will be giving out for education soon. I do want to say that they were very, very instrumental in raising many of the funds when the nameplate, the tornado came through. They're a great organization. I know they would be happy with whatever we give them, but I feel that maybe it would be a blessing to them to give them what they asked for.
Mr. Perez?
Sharon, is this lost revenue? Is this a gift to a nonprofit organization? What are we doing here?
It's a nonprofit.
Yeah, nonprofit, it's not lost revenue. So they'd have to provide,
They don't have to provide anything.
no, yes, they have to provide invoices and stuff like, when is a copier, if they buy the copier, I pay that, and utility bills, communications, marketing bills, advertising bills. And if it's the full ordinance, then this receipts from benefits and salaries, create amounts.
Mr. Redo?
Yeah, on the application though, it did say that, the donations had dropped from $94,700 in 2020 to $76,131 in 2021. And as to date, when this application was submitted, only $16,147 had been donated to that point. So I think you could consider that a loss. But
At which number? At 193,000 or 59,000? That's,
Some of the comments say must prove loss. Is that still the case? Did we ever?
No, I do, they did provide financials in here. So, they're not tax returns, but they are financial statements.
I can probably answer that question. So in terms of operating revenue, which is unrestricted dollars only, because a lot of money comes into the organization that's restricted. Donors give money for a specific purpose. We can only spend it for that specific purpose. Fortunately, that's to benefit most of everyone in South County. But the unrestricted operating revenue between 2019 and was 122,000, and by the end of 2021 was or in 2022, I'm sorry, was 43,000. So I just wanted to say 2 points of clarification. we only asked for 193.5 because we thought we had to be able to tie it all to COVID. We understood when the instructions came out that the documentation had to be submitted, and that it had to, nonprofits eligible for assistance are those that experience negative economic impact or disproportionate impacts of the pandemic and meet the definition of the nonprofit. And then it also said that if we had decreased revenue, financial insecurity, increased costs, capacity to weather hardships, and challenges covering rent or mortgage or other operating costs. So that's why the salaries were put in there. Because capacity to weather these hardships were not going to be possible actually without having leadership and having an employee in the building. Which kind of ties to my comment about the other money that had been given out prior. My question wasn't about who got it or what they got it for. My question last week was about, we understood this all had to be COVID related. And if you recall, Craig Emmett said to me, well, it doesn't have to be COVID related. If they took you out of the COVID column, they put you in the standard reduction column. And so we did not know that obviously last April, or we might have applied for more money to take care of a lot of things we could really use. But we played it close to the vest and just put in there, I mean, otherwise it would have rounded up to 200,000, that we actually put 193.5 because that's exactly what it came out to be, to make up for a lot of the losses that we suffered during COVID.
Yeah,
Do we know what percentage is administrative costs versus what goes back into the community?
I do not right offhand, but I can tell you that all of the funds that we take in that are restricted, we take 2 cents on the dollar to administer that money. So 98% of every dollar that comes into our organization that is going to be used for something to help the community, and I appreciate Luann reading all the lists of those we serve. The cost of that is 2%.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will not be voting.
Any other comments, questions?
Are we making a motion to move it up to a larger amount, 193.5?
Are you?
Yes, I'm making a motion.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All right.
A second.
Smith, 193.5. The vote on the amendment from 59.5 to 193.5.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Mr. Mackey, Mr. Glover, Mr. Tully,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally. Aye. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger. Aye. Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens,
Hi.
Ms. Bright. Aye. Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa.
Aye.
Mr. Ashkenazi.
Aye.
Mr. Weezer, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Cassup,
Aye.
Mr. Savage,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger,
Aye.
Ms. Beckett,
Present.
Ms. Corretto. Aye. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Doze.
Aye.
And Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried. This vote on the allocation of 193,500 for Star Rock Country Foundation. As amended to 193,500.
Mr. Tully,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally. Aye. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger. Aye. Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens. Aye. Ms. Bright. Aye. Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa. Mr. Ashapinsky. Mr. Vitek, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Casa,
Aye.
Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett. Ms. Corretto.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Doze. Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. McEmery.
Aye.
Ms. Mackey and Mr. Boo. So one.
All right, motion carries.
Should be press.
One,
Oh, one present.
one breath. Rest ayes, motion carries.
Motion to amend. I said one of them.
Motion to amend the over $195 from $895. Next, we have packet number 45, Mendota Tri-County Fair.
All right, the ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make the American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly report such distribution as follows. One, the above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. Two, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $90,000 shall be made available to Mendota Tri-County Fair Association for the disbursement of public relations, advertising, and promotion, increase in premium offerings, repair and maintenance electrical service, restore facilities for racetracks, and concession improvements in facilities and livestock area, secure a carnival. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
Have a motion to approve said ordinance. Mr. Nally, second.
I'll second, why not?
Second, Mr. Ross.
I got it right
Sorry,
here.
Joe.
Look, I got it right here. Email it.
Yeah. And paragraph 3 of the subrecipient agreement for the change of date will be added to the third paragraph of the ordinance. Any questions or comments? Those.
The carnival,
I think that's,
I thought we struck that.
well, it, looks like the finance took it down to $90.
Yeah, that was,
135.
that was eliminating the carnival, right? Paying for a carnival,
Yeah, I think so.
but it's in here as a
It's
verbiage.
Well, it's in the verbiage, but, because I
That's just what
wasn't
the application
sure,
was.
and that's what's in here,
Yeah.
but at the time we did it, the carnival already passed, but since we're doing it now, there's no.
That is true.
They're talking about Labor Day, so I wasn't sure if you want to amend it and say, because I guess the suggestion was at the time, if I'm remembering correctly, strike the carnival and they wanted to do with the playground or something, you know, but that's up to you guys to change, I mean, or whatever. At the time when we struck it, we were talking in the fall and the Labor Day carnival had already passed, however, there's another Labor Day coming up. So I wasn't sure how you wanted to word that. It can be amended however you want, like.
Amend it, strike carnival, and so basically the money will go toward the facilities.
Yeah, or the playground, we can use it for the playground, I thought
That was a note I made because they said that the carnival wasn't gonna fly because it was past Labor Day.
To strike,
Yeah, for the carnival, yeah.
second,
No, Mr. Chair, I just questioned the dollar amount still. Are we still?
You gotta wait till there's a second before you get stuff.
is there a second to, strike secure carnival in the wordage? That's right. All in favor of, well, any questions or comments in that regard? All in favor of said motion to strike secure carnival from the ordinance, signify by saying aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Further discussion? Mr. Robert.
I question the dollar amount still. I look at this as being a local festival, no different than Ottawa's riverfront. And I don't see, and not to mention, I was listening in when there were quite a few different requests from other organizations that spilled over into other counties. The very first question that kicked them out was whether or not they had asked other counties for contributions. And I don't see that that was done here. I think that I think anything above $25,000 would be too high.
Questions, comments? Ms. Grove?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them put in the application because in their impact need description, they had 2 years of no income and greatly reduced income. I wish they would have put down their loss of income. They would have showed that. It looks like they're just asking for a nice little wish list of things that they need repaired. But I wish they would have said, we lost, $100,000 in income, which would normally generate during this fair.
Yeah, all they did was basically some advertising, increased premium offerings and facilities. There, Mr. Toth, go ahead.
I remember a little bit about this. I remember questioning them, asking them how they could fix all these buildings for $90,000. They had so much work with the bathrooms. They're gonna fix bathrooms. I told them that I don't care if the bathroom is $60,000 to fix. So how could you do that? And they said they were gonna get a lot of volunteer work. So that's all I really remember about what they said they were gonna do with that 90,000 is to try to fix those facilities.
Mr. Prager.
I would agree with Mr. Aubrey. It's a tri-county fair. I wondered where are the other two counties? They've been asked to contribute to this. I think $25,000 is a reasonable number, but we have to go on the first amendment.
And we were
I thought we had a vote on amendment to strike.
Carnivals, to take the carnivals out. Yeah, we took that out. I think that's still left $90,000.
It did not change it.
So you want to make a motion to amend that?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I make a motion to amend the request to 25,000.
A second on that?
Second that.
Robert? Any other questions or comments? Hearing none? You vote on the amending from 90,000 to 25,000 for the Tri-County, Mendota Tri-County.
Do that by voice, and we'll be voting on the actual expenditure.
Okay. All in favor of said motion to reduce the amount from 90,000 to 25,000, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Period. Roll call vote on the award of 25,000 to the Mendota Tri-County Fair. As amended.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Mr. Slager.
Aye.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
Aye.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pottinger.
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Owens. Ms. Bright.
Aye.
Mr. Emmett. Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatso.
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky. Mr. Wietzak. Ms. Bernal. Mr. Jessup. Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Nay.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett.
Aye.
Ms. Corretto.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose.
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey.
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery.
Aye.
Ms. Zanetti. Mr. Blue. And Mr. Tully.
Aye.
One.
19 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carried.
Yes.
Next, we have number 46. Utica Fire Protection for fiber installation station on the tower. Proposal for $57,065.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $67,065 shall be made available to Utica Fire Protection District for the disbursement of fiber installation to fire station and water tower, radio council for fire station, prepayment for 5 years of annual iFiber charges. A more particular description is in the attached ARP application.
A motion to approve said ordinance. Mr. Dodd, second by Mr. Brown. And paragraph 3 of subject agreement will be added to paragraph 3 of the ordinance. Questions or comments? Brown.
I have a comment, this being, COVID related, at Utica Fire Station, their calls went up 22% over Star Rock, during the COVID, season, or whatever we want to have it. And this here, fiber optics, installation will also increase, give the availability to the Mavis organization or our county police or sheriff can hook it. It doesn't just serve the fire department. It makes it available to all the communities that have the fiber optics can hook up to it. And if you look on the map, Utica is located right in the middle of the county. So I call it the hub. So it's it can be used by multiple organizations.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Trainer?
I have no problem with the project, but again, it's another taxing body. We're throwing our tax money to them, so they don't have to spend it. Same thing with the next request. The other thing is, I don't know how this got back on the agenda, because when we had the committee at the whole meeting, and we had the up and down, should we move it forward or not? This was voted not to move forward to the full board. And it was pretty much unanimous, so I don't know why it's even on the agenda. But the other thing about this infrastructure stuff, there's a big bipartisan infrastructure bill out there that has all kinds of money to pay. Very few of these entities have, as far as I know, applied for any of it. So I don't think they have exhausted by any means the ability to get funding from other places. So I'll definitely vote no.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I see they've got a 5-year prepayment in there. I didn't think we would prepay bills. I thought they had to, because it goes beyond your 20.6, right?
How much that might be.
And
It's 12,000, I think.
It could have been at the time of the application, it wasn't past it.
Oh, okay, good point.
That's just a comment I'm making, I'm not
Yep,
sure, but
good
this
point.
was put in over a year ago, so. At that point, it would have been within the parameters, so we gotta kind of look at how long they've been sitting.
And Mr. Getz said they would have to provide proof that they have in fact paid that bill before they would get reimbursed for it. If they pay it in advance and have paid it, they could submit that and get paid. But if they're not able to do that, then they would not get paid and that money would be left.
Motion to take that prepayment out.
As long as it's within the restrictions, I'm fine.
vote please.
Ms. McNally,
Aye.
Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Nay.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Nay.
Ms. Owens,
Aye.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Nay.
Mr. Gatsa,
Nay.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
Nay.
Mr. Weedsek, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Casa, Mr. Savage,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger,
Nay.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto,
Nay.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Dose,
Aye.
Mr. Aubrey,
Nay.
Mr. Montgomery,
Yay.
Sinecki, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Tully, Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
No.
Ms. Bush. Nine to 10.
Aye.
Tully vote? Did I call you Tully?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you vote? I'm sorry.
I vote aye.
Oh, so it's a 10-10. I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Vote is 10-10. Vote aye with it. Next, we have 53. Mendota Fire Department. Asking for 400,000.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, LaSalle County Treasurer shall make the American Rescue Plan Act of state and local funds available and shall properly report such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. Number two, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $400,000 shall be made available to Mendota Fire Department for the disbursement of Reese Breaker Power Lane System, one breaker powered 2023 Ford Ford 550/Horton Type 1 ambulance. One more particular description in the attached ARPA funding application.
We have a motion to approve said ordinance. Oh, yeah, with third paragraph of subrecipient agreement included in the third paragraph of the ordinance. McCalley, second. Mr. Savage. Questions or comments? Mr. Traeger.
Once again, Mendota got, almost $1 million in ARP. And I doubt if they thought it was calls. I think they explored it in the third, but it doesn't seem to matter, so. I have
Questions or comments? Ms. Guerrero.
Yes, did this come through the county board at one time in one of our meetings? Because I have an ordinance here already for this, and I have $110,000 written on it. I think we discussed it at one point in time and took the ambulance off.
Question, I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about it before, that's what my notes are on there, that you were talking about one cot and 3 systems at 110. Taking the ambulance off.
Was that in the committee of the whole?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But I mean, that didn't rescind what finance had recommended, so I didn't change the number.
I just wanted to ask along with Mr. Traeger, because I'm confused by that. The Ogden Fire Department has ARP money of over $2 million, and the Mendota Fire Department has this $864,000, but the Utica Fire Department didn't have any. And so this is already ARPA money they have received as part of the same type of package, or? I don't know what that
I
means.
don't think it's specific to the fire department, it's specific to the city.
To the city.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Am I wrong?
I don't think so. Some of our fire departments receive,
Yeah.
And
It would be at least.
unless they apply for it.
Correct.
No, cities.
Yeah.
City.
Cities are the ones that get it.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was wondering. That means you did not,
Yeah, they got.
Utica did, yeah.
not on here. All right.
Well, the village of Utica got it, doesn't mean the Utica Fire District got it.
All right. I understand that part. That there's just no ARPA on the Utica application, we just voted on. So that's why I was asking if something different. They got something called Cures the last time in 21. Anyway, I was just trying to figure out what that is.
They may not have been aware of the.
Okay.
the receipt. Mr. Doge?
I believe that help, help with some of that. We got $200 per resident. That's how they did it nationwide. So counties got 200 a resident. Just a uniformity, cities got 100 a resident. Fire districts, school districts didn't get that specific type of. So the different units of government. So the village Utica, which is separated from Utica Fire Protection District, probably received $100 per resident. Hope that helps.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Ms. McNally?
I'm gonna speak on behalf of the Mendota Fire Department in a letter that I received about the ambulance versus the load lift things or whatever. He says if the ambulance was approved, that would be great, but if not, if that's too big of a request, then we need the power loads and the power cot. With not only in Mendota, but also nationwide, we are experiencing staffing issues. We all know that's true. With only 2 people responding on calls, a power load is very beneficial. It'll help prevent back injuries. Sadly, our population seems to be getting heavier and we're trying to load a cot into the ambulance. So with 2 people, you struggle. Basically, I would say that's a definite need. That's all I got. I mean, I could keep reading, but I will for you.
Does everybody know what a power load is? Power load structure? It's okay to say if you don't. No, it's basically a hydraulic stretcher, okay? The old days, I literally started, there was a 40-pound aluminum 2-man stretcher. You picked up the stretcher with somebody. I was young and dumb, so we load them in. And now it's just hydraulic driven. You press a button, it lowers all the way to the ground, it goes all the way up. Then you get it into the ambulance, and there's a system that literally lifts the stretcher up. There's these 2 red arms that come up, and then take it off the ground, and then put it in. That way it lowers the risk of back injuries.
Mr. Torrance?
Forgive me for not remembering, but why did we remove the ambulance? Does anybody know, haven't in their notes?
Oh, I have notes here, 110,000.
Yeah, but I don't know, I don't have the why.
And I just read that day, so
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to change it to 110? All right, second? Mr. Traeger? Questions or comments on the amendment? All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Hey, yeah.
This is on the amended motion from 400,000 to 110,000 for the power pack system.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Owens. Hi. Ms. Bright. Mr. Emmett. Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa.
Aye.
Mr. Ashapinsky.
Aye.
Mr. Weedsek. Ms. Bernal. Mr. Savage.
Nay.
Mr. Torres.
Nay.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto. Aye. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Doze.
Nay.
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 Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Mr. Sinecki, Mr. Tully,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
No.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally.
No.
Mr. Small, and Ms. Pottinger.
Aye.
Fifteen ayes, 5 nays, motion carried. Next is a vote on the ordinance to allocate 110,000 to notify.
Ms. Owens,
Aye.
Ms. Bright. Aye. Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa,
Nay.
Mr. Ashapinsky,
No.
Mr. Weetzak, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Kessa, Mr. Savage.
Aye.
Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger,
No.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto. Aye. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Doze. Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Ms. Sinecki, Mr. Boo, Mr. Tully,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
No.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Nay.
Ms. Finley Smith.
Nay.
Fourteen six.
14 ayes, 6 nays, motion carried. Next we have 55, Deer Park Township, cross over 4519th Road. New culvert.
The ordinance reads the same. Now therefore, LaSalle County Treasurer shall make the American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery plans available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $125,000 shall be made available in Deer Park Road District for the disbursement of replacement of an approximately 50-year-old crossroad culvert on 2509th Road with a new 84-inch by 64-foot crossroad culvert. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
We have a motion to approve said ordinance
In section 3.
and paragraph 3 of the subrecipient agreement will be added to paragraph 3 of the ordinance. Questions or comments?
Did we get?
Ms. Branch?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion to approve said ordinance. Gatsa? Second? Mr. Brown? Questions or comments? Right.
So I would just like to clarify, because when I looked this up, obviously, it's a dead end road.
Yes,
It looked to be about 1.5 miles long. I didn't see any homes on the road.
there's a home on the eastern part of that road. And one just right up the corner of, I don't know, First Road, 25th.
Okay.
I went and took a look at it last night,
And I'm wondering
but I don't
why,
think it's a 64-foot home.
yeah.
Great.
Did this come through finance? I thought that either the finance or one of our other meetings, we voted not to even bring it forward.
Oh, really?
That's what I thought, yeah.
I was just looking at the ones that were,
That,
Can't remember which meeting that was.
I think that's the Ottawa district, we decided not to.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it was, then. Well, it was.
Nothing.
If it was in the red, then.
But the
I
other
don't
ones,
want it.
I think possibly. Ottawa district was thumbs down. But this
Yeah,
one wasn't.
right.
So I don't know if that's where the confusion is.
Yeah, did it show on there that it's in the red?
The Deer Park, no. Ottawa, yes, Deer Park. We're down here.
It's in the red.
Here's Deer Park right here.
Together.
I'm not seeing anywhere that in the application or the information here where they've applied for other grants. Do we have that listed anywhere? They've applied for other grants to?
Yeah. Not that I'm aware of. Any other questions? Hearing none. This will be on the vote for awarding $425,000. Deer Park Road District.
Mr. Stockley,
No.
Mr. Getza,
Nay.
Mr. Ashtokunsky,
No.
Mr. Westcott, Ms. Renault, Mr. Catholic, Mr. Savage,
Aye.
Mr. Torres,
No.
Mr. Brown. Aye. Mr. Traeger,
Nay.
Ms. Beckett,
Nay.
Ms. Corretto. Mr. Walsh. Mr. Dose,
Probably nay.
Mr. Aubrey,
Nay.
Mr. Montgomery,
Nay.
Ms. Zedecki, Mr. Blue, Mr. Tully,
No.
Mr. Roach,
No.
Mr. Slager.
No.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally. Aye. Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger. Nay. Ms. Finley Smith.
Nay.
Ms. Owens.
Nay.
Ms. Bright. Nay. And Mr. Emmett.
Four ayes, 16 nays, motion denied. Next, we have, sorry, Mr. Jones.
I'm sorry, if I can just have a moment. I have to leave, but it's for a good reason, okay? So I coach a little basketball team, 7th grade Martin Cat team, and we're playing in state on Saturday. So we played in Anawan last night against Anawan, great team. And we pulled it off, so I have to go coach basketball, so I'm sorry. And I want to be here, but I wanted to spend a minute talking about not only ARP, but some healthcare that's come up. And I think we all have this same goal. I want to make sure. I have a vested interest in healthcare, and I believe this county does too. We know it's essential to our local population, both in local jobs and essential services like OB. Okay. I had 3 children born at IBCH, mainly because the outstanding midwives in our area. My wife's a nurse practitioner. I want to see the midwives deliver our children. I find this whole situation with the hospital to be nothing short of unbelievable. Healthcare not only provides jobs, but it's an important part of attracting and keeping businesses, such as the revitalization of downtown LaSalle, business growth in Oglesby, and the economic engine of this county, really, which is Peru. 1 out of every 3 retail tax dollars, go to developperu.com, comes out of Peru. Peru itself, since 1/1 of 2020, is at $110 million in development. So we essentially, as a county, lost hundreds of jobs with no advance notice to state agencies like IDPH that regulate these things. These workers contribute to our lives, our churches, our schools, and our shared tax base. They were on the front lines of a pandemic for us, and their reward was they have to reapply for their jobs. They need our help, and I thought, well, what can we do? I think the first thing this county needs to do is immediately work to coordinate with a multitude of local, state, and local agencies. And we have a lot of contacts with, whether it's North Central Council of Government, whether it's the other local agencies that we help support best to help some of these people. First off, that were affected by their job loss, and also the fact that they stay in this profession itself. Okay? Grundy County in September 2022 was awarded a $480,000 economic impact grant in case a nuclear plant closed, which it didn't. Okay? They spent personally out of their own coffers $120,000 in matching funds to make sure they would have a plan in place to help deal with that. We have money right now in our budget for matching funds to go pursue grants for something like this. Okay? We need to immediately help the LPO area with its healthcare. We need to help sustain the economic engine and protect our healthcare workers. So we need to provide grants, help coordinate and demand healthcare. We could do a couple things here with that too. Last meeting, we had a full, powwow on a resolution to the state on guns. We should do the same when it comes to healthcare. And we should also, our next board meeting, invite some of these people that are affected and listen to them. This is a forum for these people. And I think it's vitally important that they have a voice. So, Chairman, thank you for allowing me to talk, and I'm very sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Coach.
We got to coach some 2-3 defense and man-to-man. Good luck. You're the same.
Anybody for a 5-minute break?
Thank you.
Next is packet number 60, Knights of Columbus, Lost fundraising for $45,800. The ordinance reads as follows.
Now therefore, LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. Number 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $45,800 shall be made available to Columbus Building Association, aka Knights of Columbus, Council 634 for the disbursement of banquet hall rental refunds and lost bingo revenues. More particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
And paragraph 3 of the subrecipient agreement will be added to paragraph 3 of the ordinance. We have a motion to approve said ordinance. Ms. Corretto, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions or comments? Mr. Roberts.
When I read this, I just was wondering if this didn't fall into the category of the rest of the restaurant type facilities where you limited it to $10,000.
$10,000. Yeah.
I'd make a motion to do that.
I'll say.
Give it 10,000, second by Ms. Wright.
I'd be clear in your amendment, the award down to 10,000.
Yes.
All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
I have a question and comment.
Mr. Traeger.
This award was already approved by the board. We voted on it. The only thing we did not have was the UEI number. And we asked Mr. Herman if we could approve it pending getting the UEI number. And he suggested that we wait. So we have already approved this award, and I would certainly like to see it stay the way it is. I mean, these people do a lot of good work for this community. And if you notice, they just gave $10,000 to Friendship House. And they would have given more than that if they wouldn't have had the lost revenue from this. So if you have to vote on the amendment, I'm totally against the amendment.
Mr. Gordon, can you clarify that? Can you clarify, is that correct?
The part about the UII number, yes, I did that. Now, Mr. Traeger, I'm sure is accurate and it was approved by the board. The question, I think, was not necessarily for Knights of Columbus, but all the organizations had to have the UEI number, was my opinion.
But, so that was just about the UEI number, it wasn't about, this was not approved yet.
This went through a committee of the whole, I believe is what Mr. Traeger was saying.
And that came up for vote at the board meeting. And we approved it at the board meeting, I think, except that then we couldn't disperse the funds because they didn't have the UEI number. And the discussion was, if we approve the award pending them getting the UEI number. And the answer legally was no.
That was my question, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know we.
It was specific.
We approved it and then backed off. All right.
Okay, this will be a vote on the amended ordinance to 10,000 for the Knights of Columbus. Oh,
Mr. Corretto, should go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ms. Greta.
I'm sure a lot of our new board members do not have the application in front of them, but, they do list the 31,000, and that's per quarter, so it was, the 45,800 is not the true amount that they were asking for. Yeah.
The 31,000 is big, isn't it?
It is just bingo, but it's per quarter.
Yeah, and then they have another lot.
And then, the banquet hall rentals was 14,800. So they did get a reduced amount. Again, with actually the 45.8 is reduced to what the actual loss of the facility was.
Any other comments?
I guess I would just go on with what Luann is saying. I did not know that there were restaurants that they fell in the restaurant category. They were reduced to 10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Knights of Columbus is more than just a restaurant because they actually have two things going on there all the time. And the bingo alone, you know, to be locked out of bingo for a year and a half, 2 years. I don't doubt that the $31,000 a quarter is accurate. I'm sure that probably is accurate. So I'm not sure that I'm actually in favor of the reduction for that reason.
Any other comments? Oh, Sharon?
They do have on here banquet hall rental refunds and lost bingo revenue, and going through their financials, they cannot prove really the banquet hall rental refunds, because what was explained to me, the books weren't, I mean, if they had booked it in the pandemic, they gave the money back, so it was very vague. However, on the bingo lost revenue, they could more than prove 45.8. So.
Any other comments?
I do, I have one more stuff.
Mr. Corretto?
Do we have any other packets pending the UAN
Yes.
that we voted on already?
No.
You
If they
understand
didn't
what I'm
have,
asking?
if they didn't have a UEI number, they weren't brought to the floor.
Okay, thank you.
The pink ones right there, there's only two. Preferred Car Care LLC and Medota Lions Club. I'm still awaiting a UEI on those two.
All right.
That's why they were not brought to the floor today, because they did not have a UEI.
Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
He's on the amendment.
On the amendment. 45.8 to 10,000.
Mr. Getza.
Yeah, aye. You go.
That was an aye, correct?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Ashapinsky.
No.
No. Mr. Weedsek, Ms. Bernal, Mr. Casa, Mr. Savage,
Yeah.
Mr. Torres,
Nay.
Mr. Brown,
Nay.
Mr. Traeger,
Nay.
Ms. Beckett,
Okay.
Ms. Corretto,
Nay.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Dose, Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. McEmery,
Nay.
Ms. Sinecki, Mr. Blue, Mr. Tully,
No.
Mr. Roach,
No.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally,
No.
Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Nay.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Nay.
Ms. Owens,
Nay.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Five and 13.
5 ayes, 13 nays, motion denied. Next will be a roll call vote on the award of $45,800.
Mr. Ashapinsky.
Aye.
Mr. Wietzek, Ms. Brunel, Mr. Cassup, Mr. Savage, Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett,
Aye.
Ms. Corretto,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Does, Mr. Aubrey,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery,
Aye.
Ms. Sinecki, Mr. Blue, Mr. Cooley,
Aye.
Mr. Roach,
Aye.
Mr. Slager,
Aye.
Ms. Bush, Ms. McNally,
Aye.
Mr. Small, Ms. Pottinger,
Aye.
Ms. Finley Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Owens,
Aye.
Ms. Bright, Mr. Emmett, Mr. Stockley,
Aye.
Mr. Getza.
Aye.
All right.
All ayes, motion carried. Next, we have packet number 61, time to recover. 20,000. New business. Reads as follows.
Now therefore, the LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly report such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. The LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $20,000 shall be made available to Time to Recover Upholstery for the disbursement of equipment, training costs, relocation, or renovation costs. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
We have a motion to approve said resolution.
Yes,
Mr. Gatsa, second. Mr. Roach. Questions or comments on this? Do you have any further information required?
Just that it says I am a new business, but I'm a third generation, I'm in a third generation upholsterer and have served this county for my family has served this county for many years. So it doesn't say when the business went into effect, just saying that she was a new business at the time of the application. The way I took it. That's up to you. It's right after, it's in the impact and needs section. You've got your application in front of you.
Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Savage. Mr. Torres.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Traeger.
Aye.
Ms. Beckett.
Aye.
Ms. Corretto.
No.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Does. Mr. Aubrey.
No.
Mr. Montgomery.
Aye.
Ms. Sinecki. Mr. Blue. Mr. Tully.
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Mr. Slager.
No.
Ms. Bush. Ms. McNally.
No.
Mr. Small. Ms. Pottinger.
No.
Ms. Finley Smith.
No.
Ms. Owens.
Nay.
Ms. Bright.
Nay.
Mr. Emmett. Mr. Stockley.
Aye.
Mr. Gatsa.
Nay.
Mr. Ashapinsky.
Aye.
Mr. Wietzek. Ms. Bernal, and Mr. Guest. That's it. Nine. Mr. Jensen.
Vote nay.
Nay. 10 days then, if you. And then,
10 days, no ayes, motion denied.
Yep.
Number 62, Habitat for Humanity, $49,974.37. Motion.
no, 37 here, but 34 here. What is it?
Let's see.
37 on the front.
Forty-nine solid, thanks, right?
One more to you instead of.
Okay, the ordinance reads the same, now therefore LaSalle County Treasurer shall make American Rescue Plan Act, make local fiscal recovery funds available and shall properly record such distribution as follows. The above recitals are adopted and incorporated into this ordinance. 2, the LaSalle County Board authorizes the allocation of up to $49,974.37 shall be made available to Habitat for Humanity of LaSalle, Bureau, and Putnam Counties, Inc. The disbursement for lighting improvement, financial stabilization. Thank you. A more particular description is in the attached ARPA funding application.
The third paragraph of the subrecipient agreement will be added to the third paragraph of the ordinance. A motion to approve said ordinance. By Mr. Torres, second. Mr. Truly. Questions or comments? Question?
Well, I
Right.
guess the question again comes up, we're talking about a tri-county area, so what are Bureau and Putnam contribute?
Shall be on the class. Question?
Oh.
Anything? No?
No, they reported no other monies received, so I would take it by that. I mean, we didn't say he's received it from LaSalle County, we just said other monies received, and they are not reporting any other monies received.
Mr. Greg?
Wasn't this is another one. I thought we reduced this because at first they wanted to build the whole house or something, or.
No, that was, excuse me, that was, Casa, I think.
Oh, yes, sorry.
$2
Well, I agree with Ms. Bright, then I think we need more
Information.
information. See if Bureau and Putnam County is okay. I'm all for it. If they were willing to give some money. They got our.
Mr. Torres?
What can they prove for a loss here?
I thought they couldn't prove loss because they use projections.
Use projections.
Like that's what my note on here says. They can't prove loss, because they use projections. Similar to Streeter Unlimited, I think they would have to be having the same one.
So this isn't 501.
Because here they opened during COVID.
This is not a 501.
I don't understand.
I think it probably is.
I'm not seeing it on their paperwork, but that's.
They are a 501c3 and they opened in April of 21 at the current location for the Restore. Habitat for Humanity itself has been in this area for several years.
Right.
But there's nothing underneath their name where it says what this was for, and you talked about stabilization and something else. So it sounds to me like that's for the Restore itself. And that just opened in April of 21.
So what I read on YouTube was that most of this money, they're asking for lighting for their store, which seems a lot.
Questions? Rather find out more information? Mr. Torres,
Motion to table till next meeting.
table, second on that?
Second.
Second. All in favor of tabling this motion until next meeting, signify by saying aye. All opposed, say nay. Carried.
Mr. Chairman. So, Greg, will you get a hold of them and then, or would Jared want to get a hold of them? Maybe.
I'll probably, there's two that were tabled, so, I will get both of them, I believe, unless John wants to do it. Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, not, we want presentations from them, is that what you're wanting?
Well,
That's what my next question was.
yeah,
Yeah.
just want additional one.
Additional information, or
We want
have
them.
them come into answer questions?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'll find out and see
You'd
what
have to speak to.
we can do.
Board members have an experience. One second.
Moving on.
You gonna make it, Madam Clerk, or you need a break?
Hmm?
You're gonna make it, break.
My tongue's all twisted now. I don't have the next one though, I have the. So I, right. Here. I don't have that. I know, that's why I'm doing that, just.
There is no ordinance, that's just your adjusting.
They're adjusting, there's no ordinance. You're adjusting the existing ordinance. You're adjusting the existing ordinance.
Yeah, the, basically, amend the ordinance for the internal, for the quarter scene. I think the original was, 50-some thousand.
51,756. So it's up here, here's, if anybody wants to look, what the adjustments you just made in the standard allowance were at 3.2.
That's our balance?
Yes, available. Left. When we started, we were at 2.1. So.
That doesn't make any sense. We spent on
No, we say.
No, you didn't. You cut a lot of these out. Some of them-
105.3, I think, to start, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Right,
Okay.
right, so up.
So basically, the Florida scene, that was already awarded, but at, 51,756.
Another one.
And it, came out, it was over 70 some, wasn't it?
The low bid came in at 59,656.48.
Ugh.
So they're wanting to know.
So this is, requesting motion to, amend the amount from 51,756 to 59,656. Some of
Everybody
those,
realize this is our IT department?
That's it.
yeah.
No, ours.
That's our software program for upgrading for cybersecurity.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
The, Mr. McNally,
He made the motion, I'll
and you
second.
second?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess let's do a roll call vote.
The ordinance is, it's ordinance, that we are amending ordinance number 2281. It's already there. The ordinance was made for the 51,756.42.
Need new ordinance.
But you still need new
That
ordinance.
ordinance is fine, you can't amend it, it's been executed.
Okay.
So then,
So we're gonna have to have a new ordinance with new appropriate.
With a new number.
anyway, on the other one, then,
We bring it to full board.
If you're increasing
Or
that,
next week.
It's our trouble.
Oh, if we're increasing it, okay.
yeah, if you're decreasing it, you're just not handing out as much, and the ordinance covers up to a certain amount. But if you go over that amount, we're gonna need more ordinance.
Okay, so then if the new ordinance would have to go to the full board.
Yes.
All new.
so basically, we'll have to table the Fortizine and food pantry till next time. Did all of you get a copy of the subrecipient agreement for U of I extension?
No.
No. Okay, we'll have to do that next time. basically there was, that one situation there was change in the verbiage, because the U of I extension and enter contract with us, it has to be through the supposed U of I board of trustees. So this will go out to, we have to make a better for all the changes that covers it. With that,
Chairman, before you adjourn, are we gonna do the, as much as we can at the meeting next week, or are you gonna have another meeting beyond that? These should be pretty easy.
These should be fairly straightforward. So last one's here, you want to last? These last
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Doe, any rest of them, get ready.
And then we'll take a look and see what's left. Second by Mr. Blumey, all in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Thanks, sir. For your.
Yep. Yeah, you guys later.